I've been working hard for Omega. I've been working hard on the line. I've been working hard for Big Brother, trying to serve my time on the line. But hold it steady right there while we hit it. Don't you reckon that I ought to get it? Working, trying to make Omega my home. Boom, 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 boom. I went to see my DP this morning, and he said I had 10 more weeks to go. I went to tell my girlfriend about it, and she screamed out, oh, hell no, but hold it steady right there while we hit it. But don't you reckon that I ought to get it? I'm working, trying to make Omega my home. Boom, 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 boom. Omega, dear, we are thy own. Thou art our life, our love, our home. We'll sing thy praise.
Good evening. My name is Brother Charles Griffith, and I have served as the chairman of the Pi Gamma Gamma chapters, graduate chapter, and the Mu Zeta chapter, undergraduate chapters, Achievement Week and Founders Day banquet chairman. We are so delighted that you have tuned in to this video presentation. The purpose of the occasion is threefold. First, to pay homage to our founders, our four founders that founded this organization in 112 years ago on the campus of Howard University on November 17, 1911. Second, to celebrate excellence. And lastly, to recognize those persons that have demonstrated excellence doing their daily duties. Again, we are so happy that you've tuned in to this program. We want you to enjoy yourself, get you some popcorn, and enjoy this video. This time next year, we're going to do this in person. So have a good evening, and thank you very much.
Brother Herbert, what was your motivation for running for bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma?
My motivation was that I was supported by 8 young men at that time when we started Pi Gamma Gamma, and I was deeply honored and humbled that they elected me as the first bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma chapter. And in my first administration was starting the chapter, we were looking at organization and structure. And that was my main challenge, and finding young men to come into the chapter and look at growth in the future years.
Well, at the time, they had very few people in the chapter. And at the time, I just come back from retiring from the military, and it was my time to get in the barrel. So we looked at all the positive things that we wanted to do. So I went ahead and became the bossless, and I think I held it for what, 3 or 4 years at that time.
Yes, sir.
And we wanted to grow the chapter. So during the growth of the chapter, we had taken in some more brothers into the chapter, and we wanted to try to solidify those brothers in doing community service, which was a big
from 1988 to 1991, and Brother Charles Hilt was bossless 1999 through 2000. Greetings, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Great, absolutely excellent, Millhouse. What's your first name?
Robert Millhouse.
Robert. Okay, I'll call you Robert then.
Yes, sir. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. The reason for this call is what we're trying to do is just get a video of all of Pi Gamma Gamma's prior boss life, so that we can show future members and future bosses of Pi Gamma Gamma the lineage and the history that you guys created. This is for Achievement Week, and I want to be the first to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy day to do this interview for Achievement Week for Pi Gamma Gamma. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. Look forward to it. I'm not sure how much I'm going to add, but I look forward to it.
Well, let's just start off with a question. We can start off with Brother Hilt. What was your motivation for running for bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma?
Well, I come out of an undergrad chapter who had a very excellent advisor, Brother G. Stanley Lewis from Gamma Gamma Grambling, and we come up through serving. And when I was in the grad chapter back in Shreveport, the hierarchy in the chapter was the older guys ran things, the younger fellas come up, and when you got older, you got to fill in for positions and do things of that nature. And what I seen at Pi Gamma Gamma that it didn't matter about the age, that if you wanted to participate and do things, you could do it. You didn't have to, you didn't have to be 50 or 60 to do that. And I like that. Brother Windrow, he and I were at church, and I asked him about grad chapters, because I wanted to get involved. Came up here with General Motors, and he told me, he said, well, come go to a grad meeting with me. So he took me to a meeting, and I ended up meeting Joe and Percy, and the rest was history. Bad names.
Well, I let you go when you said Vinny.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, what about you, Brother Satterfield? What influenced you?
Interesting enough, I moved around quite a bit with the State Farm Insurance Organization, and prior to coming to Murfreesboro, I was the vice bossless of Chi Beta Beta, which was in Bloomington, Illinois. And so when I moved to Murfreesboro in the time that I was there, I said, you know what? I was vice bossless for several years. I need to step up. I kind of heard what John Maxwell said, everything rises and falls on leadership. So I wanted to get in there and ride that thing a little bit and see if I can make a difference. So that was my motivation.
All right, that's great. That's great. Well, with leadership, it comes some great accomplishments. So could you guys just touch on what was your greatest accomplishment during your tenure as bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma?
I think for me, it was a continuation of some of our mandated programs, whether it be Talent Hunt, NAACP, social action programs. And I think for the most part, since we were relatively new, it was very important to get involved in the community, become very service oriented. And so we built that coalition and that cohesiveness through being involved in social action programs.
All right.
Yeah. I'll piggyback off of that because he mentioned becoming involved in the community, and we did that through the basketball program with our brother who started that. We kind
Terry
of
Looper, Brother Terry Looper.
Terry Looper getting that, adding underprivileged young men. I was able to get a few of the fathers from the plant to come all the way to Murfreesboro and bring their kids out. The other thing was some of the programs that were already in place that we were able to build on and improve on was the Thanksgiving and Christmas turkeys for dinners for the people that needed it. And I really, really kind of got behind that because I wanted to make sure that there was someone out there who wanted to have a Thanksgiving dinner. If it's something that we could do as a chapter, I wanted to make sure that happened. And we did that. Those kind of things, just trying to build upon what, the chapter was relatively new, not a lot of members, but wanted to start building upon the things that we needed to do as far as our four founders when they established the chapter, the organization.
Yeah, I was just going to add, Joe Herbert, he was a leader. He got us, he identified things that we could do in the community that would make a difference. So hats off to Joe and his leadership team on setting the stage for that.
All right. Okay. Well, let me ask this question. Unfortunately, there are some downfalls or some negative things that happen when you are bossless. What were some challenges that you faced while you were bossless, and how did you overcome them?
I think for me, coming in new from the Illinois region, was getting to know the people that were in Murfreesboro. I think building a cohesive team was one of my opportunities. I won't call it challenges. I call them opportunities to build a cohesive team so we could make a difference in the community. So just getting to know Joe and Vinny and Daryl and Percy and that entire Murfreesboro leadership team, they opened their arms to me. I just embraced that and tried to make a difference in building a team to move forward.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I would agree with that 100%. Coming from Louisiana, I'm relatively new to the area. I just linked up with the church that I'm still in. I joined that back in '92, and that's how Vinny and I became associated with each other. But getting to know everybody, Joe, Percy, and Daryl, those guys were very integral in supporting when you were in office, supporting you to do the things that you were trying to do, and actually people wanting to do things. You know, in organizations, it's always hard to get people behind projects and doing things. But when you got guys like that behind you, talking and encouraging and putting things in place, and the fact that they were from there and knew a lot about the surrounding area, it made it a whole lot easier for me.
It sure did. It sure did. I would throw out a couple other names: Mel Daniels and Dale Strickland. They were very instrumental, and they knew the community. They were very vested in that community, and so we just rode on their coattails to implement some programs and social action activities that would make a difference.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, that was great. That was great. Just a final question. If you were able to leave a final thought with upcoming Bosley or any upcoming members for Pi Gamma Gamma, what would you say to them to motivate them or to uplift them?
I'll say, don't sit on the sideline. Get in the game. Be a piece of the action. Be the quarterback. Be the wide receiver. Be the tackle. Be the guards. Get involved. Lead through action. We got plenty of mandated programs. You can sink your teeth into any one of them and make a difference. So I would say just actively get involved.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that totally. I think we got a bunch, particularly in this last group of individuals that came into the organization. There are a lot of guys in there that are leaders out in the community and in plants and different things that have valuable learnings and abilities, but that they picked up from their job that we could utilize. And also keeping those things like the Sundress and Stogie, all our programs going, and then utilizing that money, you know, in the organization for us, helping in the community, continue to do that, continue to be involved in the like parades, you know, putting ourselves out there, letting them know that, hey, we're not just, you know, it's kind of funny. I had a lady I was doing some work for, and her friend told me how to find her. She said, I got the Lexus with the AKA plates on. You made it find. Oh, you're AKA. Well, I said, I'm a Q. I said, she said, oh, you one of those.
Yeah.
So to work on changing that personality. I told him, I said, look, not everybody's Q dogs.
That's right, being Omega Man.
And in this organization that believe in doing things in the community, and I believe in all my brothers, whether they're Q dogs or Omega Men, you know, they get behind what we're doing. And, you know, putting that positive image out in the community in Murfreesboro. And I think the guys are doing, man, I just have to tell you, they are doing an excellent job of doing that.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you something else too. Looking at our mandated programs, you can ride the coattails on any one of them. And I would really challenge the brothers to take the reins on the Talent Hunt program, the St. Jude's program, the NAACP, the STEMS program, the Fatherhood Initiative. there should not be a reason why you would not want to get involved. We got plenty of programs and actions to put into place in the community. So just be actively involved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Will do. And I guarantee you that the brothers will review this interview and be thankful for the words and the encouraging words that both of you fellow Omega men have provided. Greetings, brothers. My name is Robert Millhouse. I'm here once again with Brother Ed Morant. Ed Morant, Brother Ed Morant has many different titles, but what we're going to speak on today is he was bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma from 2006 through 2007. He is a past DR for the 5th District. And if you just so happen to have an Omega license plate on your car from the 5th District, this right here is a gentleman that was responsible for getting you that license plate. But what we're going to talk about today is, as I stated, his tenure as bossless at Pi Gamma Gamma. How's it going today, Brother Morant?
Oh, it's going well, Brother Millhouse.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for coming. For the first question, let's start with what was your reason or your motivation for running for bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma?
Okay. As I remember, I guess they ran out of other people at that time. Then prior to that, I was a chapter KRS and then vice bossless. And after my term as vice bossless, it was almost like a natural progression into running for bossless. Now that the same year that I ran for bossless, one became the bossless, was the same year I became the district KRS. So that it was kind of tricky wearing those hats like that. At that time, we weren't that large a chapter, and but like putting and wearing those two hats at the same time was a little bit challenging. But that's it was kind of like a move in a natural movement into the bosses. So
Wow.
by the time I did it, to be honest with you, yeah. So anyway, I hope that answers that question.
Right. That's I didn't know that. That's a little oil for my lamp right there. Thanks a lot. What were some of your proudest accomplishments of the chapter during your administration?
I believe, if recollection serves me right, was the first year we tried to do something, try to develop what I would consider a signature event for fundraising and whatnot. And I believe that was the year we tried to do a golf tournament. And we did a golf tournament, actually. It was the first year, so it wasn't like a lot of money, that we made because it was the first year, and that's one of the things that we accomplished. The other thing, I was trying to put some structure around our operation as a chapter. Now those things take time to develop. And as I said, I was only bossless for 1 year, and I'm trying to think of. I was about, you said 6 to 7. I thought it was more like till 8. Beginning of no, that's right. 7 is right. 7 is right, because like at that point, then we were getting into going to the election for district offices, and I put my hat in the ring at that point. At first for first vice, then I changed before the election to run for DR.
Oh wow!
Now there's a long story behind that, bro. And we probably don't want to get into that. But so as bossless, I had a very good team around me at that time. They were able to take up a lot of the slack. You know, where I could govern, but other brothers stepped up and were doing some of the other things that we needed to get done as a chapter. But that's I probably served less time than any other bosses we've had, as I can think of it. But it was a long time ago. So I'm trying to think of I guess we talking 15, 16 years ago, you know.
Yeah.
So but the brothers we always got our dues in on time. We always had our managed to meet our financial obligations. It was during that time that maybe a little before that, the brother Ford started with the turkey and Thanksgiving and Christmas giveaways. So we had activities that we were gearing up to, and prior to that, we had brought back and started. I've also started doing things like we brought back the talent hunt, I believe, during that time. Maybe a little before that, because I don't think I was bossless yet when we started that. Now, I apologize, Brother Millhouse, because I'm trying to recollect some things that's been happening a long, long, long time ago.
Absolutely,
But
I understand.
but I had some good shoulders to stand on, Brother Ford, Brother Herbert, Brother Hill, all of them were around, to help out as well, and help give me some guidance and that kind of thing. So, but I basically tried to keep it in the road during that period of time, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you faced as bossless, and how did you overcome them?
I was gonna say we overcame them all, but we had some challenges. One, we were a very small chapter at that time. I think at that point we were only like 35 members or so. As in most things, a lot of that, which means about 15 people doing a lot of work.
Yes.
So and doing that and keeping that together. I used to ride around and pick up dues, for example, from folks.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of guys are saying, no, you don't do that if they can't pay their dues. But my thing is, no, that's okay. Let's get the money, and then we'll do the work. So that was challenging. We always had enough to do what we had to do to remain viable as a chapter. Because of the work some of the other brothers put in prior to me, we still had those programs we had to keep going and manage, and I tried to put that was when I was bosses. Prior to my being bosses, like I said, I was KRS for a while and whatnot, and that's when I put some of my technical skills together and wrote some programs and that kind of stuff to help me manage and manage and do things more efficiently. And by the time I became bossless of the chapter, I still kind of had my hand in it a little bit, trying to keep that part of it going. It was just a lot of things going on from a lot of different angles, and and by the time I got to where I would have done something, I'm sorry, DR calling me. I'll tell him I'll call him back. Okay, I sent him a text. Sorry about that.
We got the edit button. We can edit that out.
All right, good. But like I said, I feel a lot of loyalty to the chapter. So I felt obligated to do all I could to help in any way I could to inch it along for the leg of the race that I had anyway, and and pass it off to someone that could continue to push it forward. I'll tell you where we are now compared to back then. But I'm so grateful to this chapter and the brothers in it, for anyway, the challenge was our size. I think would be the short answer. Was our size, and then
8
keeping
versus 80,
everything
right?
rolling. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as a final thought, what would you say to current and future Basla and or incoming brothers of the Pi Gamma Gamma chapter?
Please repeat that, Brother Milhouse.
All right. As a final thought, what advice would you give for any future Baslas or any future brothers of Pi Gamma Gamma?
I think any future bossless or members, I think they're getting a pretty good start here. And the idea, I feel, is that to try and keep things not only rolling, but looking for new opportunities to advance the chapter as a chapter. I believe that folks can put in the work. I have, and if I may, a point of personal privilege here, I think I would say, I believe if you come through the process and you learn this by stepping up step by step, once you become a bossless, you have a much better feel for what should be going on, anybody can be a bossless. It takes a little work to be a good one. And I think you have to pull in all your leadership skills, and you have to understand the political aspect of it. And because it's there, you can either decide to be in the game or you can sit on the sideline. But I think if you come in, you learn as much as you can. You show up when you're supposed to show up, and to help your leg of the race be successful, because nobody can solve all the ills of Omega or Pi Gamma Gamma or any other chapter or district. What you can do, I believe, is when you get your leg of the race, run that the best you can. And when you have some things in mind that you'd like to accomplish while you in the chair, have that going along with governing, because you have to govern, and the bruh's gonna be the bruhs. And so you have to work through that. It's like, I believe the difference between, I think every chapter is pretty much laid out the same. The good ones overcome the challenges that are natural to our organization, and the good chapters overcome those. They rise above it. They get things done in spite of it, because you're not going to get rid of it, and I think if you keep your eyes on the prize, be able to draw in as many people, brothers, as you can to help do the work, give them a good definition of where you want to go with it, get their buy-in, that's the political part of it, so that the work gets done. And just try to push and make sure that, like I said, you advance the ball during your time in the chair.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for providing that advice. Believe it or not, I'm listening to you for myself. I take that in. Well, that actually concludes our interview portion. I want to like to thank you for taking out your time today. And look forward to seeing you this coming up Achievement Week and for Founders Day.
Look forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yes,
and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Brother Milhouse.
Thank you, Brother Morant. Greetings, brothers. I have with me Brother Dr. Derek Johnson. He was bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma 2007 through 2009. Just a couple of questions. What we're doing here is for the Achievement Week and the Founders Day program, what we wanted to do is just to get all of the past boss lists on, so we'll be able to just create that history for the future members of Pi Gamma Gamma, so they can see who laid the path before them.
Okay.
Just wanted to say once again, say thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to answer these questions, and also to let everyone know who you are. Let's see. The first question is, what was your motivation for running for Bosses for Pi Gamma Gamma?
So I guess the first thing I'll say is that who I am, and I'm Derek Johnson from Chi Delta, spring 1988. I was a 6 dog out of 7 on my line. It was 7 thrown from the unknown. I'm Dr. Derek Johnson, but my alias is Direct. So that's my tag. As far as the reason you asked me, the reason why I chose to run for bossless, is pretty not being arrogant at all, but leaders lead, and that's kind of I've been a leader all my life. So I was a bossless as an undergraduate at Chi Delta, and I was an undergraduate for a year, and you know, I just enjoy leading brothers. I enjoy the I would say I would call the problems or the kickbacks and the issues that you get from people all around you, and to prove them wrong. Not me personally, but just the chapter in general, all the different struggles and those things. And, you know, I thought I had what it took to lead the men of Pi Gamma Gamma. Of note, I was the vice bossless. And when I was the vice bossless, Brother DR Ed Morant was the bossless. And while he was the bossless, he had to do, I mean, he was the bossless, but he also was the DR. So while he was a DR, he was having to travel all over the place. So he didn't like me. He missed maybe about 4 or 5 meetings, maybe 3 or 4 meetings. But when he missed them, you know, me and him would talk, and then, you know, I would run the meeting. So I felt very comfortable running the meeting. And so I thought it was just natural if, you know, I was a vice bossless and used to running the meetings and those things when Ed wasn't there, that it would be a no-brainer for me to do the same thing as the bossless.
Absolutely. Okay. What were some of the proudest accomplishments of your chapter? I'm sorry. What were some of the proudest accomplishments of the chapter during your administration?
Well, I would say one of the prouder things I've done is probably when we got a CD, a certificate deposit. And the reason why that was proud for me is because I was trying to change the mindset that most chapters had, you know, where I've been, except for, you know, Ugly Kadi, but you know, we want to make sure there was a bunch of chapters that had houses and those things. And so we needed some kind of capital. We didn't have any kind of capital for anything at all. We didn't have any kind of venture where we could make money. And so we had a golf tournament, and Ed had been pushing me to do a golf tournament for a while. So with Ed's help and with Brother Perry's help, we had a golf tournament, very first golf tournament. And we made some money off that, including districts when we had districts. And from that, we put that into, even though it was, you know, it was a bit much between the brothers, we put that into a CD. Now, granted, the CD didn't make a lot of money. Matter of fact, you know, I know a lot of people complained about the money that it made, but it just changed the mindset from we just gonna spend to, okay, now that we have this money, let's take the money that we made from this and make money off of it without even really having to do anything to make money from it, you know. And then that mindset was able to then go from that and to flourish to where it is now, where you know, you have a foundation, and you know, you have, actually, I don't know if they still have money in different stocks and those things, but that's kind of like one of my prouder moments. Another proud moment was when I crossed over the 09 line. That was cool. Another thing was when we had our Mardi Gras. Brother Anderson had been talking about us having a Mardi Gras, And so we had a Mardi Gras, even though it was on a smaller scale to where it was before. And those are all money making ventures, as well as doing the social action programs that we continue to do. Social action projects are one of the things that I really look forward to doing for the community. And then the last thing is, and like I said, I'm not really, I don't really want to brag, and I'm a very humble person, but I was the graduate advisor for Musada in '09 while I was bossless, and in '09 I mean '08 and '09, and I actually won Omega Man of the International Omega Man of the Year.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
I was pretty excited about that. And all this time when all this is going on, I was having problems in my marriage and I'm getting divorced. So, I was able to really hold on to the bros, and the bros really kind of helped me through that too. So during that period of turmoil, we did a lot of things. We changed a lot of minds. We changed the mindset of a lot of people, and we were able to start moving forward on, accomplish something bigger and better than just being the Qs. So we went from being, those Qs in Murfreesboro to eventually being the Murfreesboro Qs, where people know us now as the Murfreesboro Qs. So
Right.
I'm not saying that, I was the one that did all that at all, but with me, I think I started to change the mentality and start changing the thinking.
Yeah.
Like I still remember, and I don't mean to be long, but it's so funny. So we had, and I'm not gonna say which brother. So we had gone up on the tickets on Mardi Gras. So we gone from $15 to we went up to $35 for tickets for Mardi Gras tickets. And one of the brothers in the meeting said, "Bruh, I don't have anybody that I know that would ever pay $35. I don't have no friends that pay $35 for a Mardi Gras ticket." And I said, "Well, it sounds like you need some new friends.
Absolutely.
Because if your friends can't even afford a $35 ticket, you know." So that's kind of it, man. I
You
love
change your
being,
mindset, basically.
yeah,
Change your
exactly.
mindset, and believe me, from what you did way back then is really taking effect now. Changing the mindset, and I just like to extend my thanks out to you for having that vision for the chapter. What were some of the challenges you faced as bossless, and how did you overcome them?
Going back to, I know it sounds like a broken record, but it's the challenges of changing the mindset. When and I mean, not many people know this that are probably past that, but when I ran for bosses, I only won by one vote. You know, it was a tie vote, and even though I had been vice bosses for a year, even though I had been in the chapter since '06, and even though currently at the time I was even president of the foundation, and I thought that what I had done and accomplished initially, you know, from a personal level, professional level, everything would kind of help me with the when I ran. But when I ran, it was a tie vote. It ended up only having I won by someone having to break the tie. And so it's crazy to me, and I've never said this publicly, but it's crazy to me how come I didn't get more votes, you know. And just to think, I might not have never been bossless. But once I became bossless, my attitude is to lead from the front. So I'm not going to have anybody or ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do. And that's kind of what I did. But that was the main thing as far as the challenges is just, dealing with that. I will tell you is I learned my lesson as bosses. It's harder to be the bosses of a undergrad chapter than to be of a graduate chapter. You would have thought it would have been the opposite, but it's not. Being bosses of the grad chapter is hard because you got grown men, they got kids, they got other stuff going on. It's just a little different than when you're dealing with the undergrads. When you're undergrad, everybody's, I think, all in the same mindset, whereas in grad chapters, everybody comes with their own, sometimes their own different biases and their own things like that. And so that causes them, some of them not to be on the same page or whatever, but you have to get everybody on the same page. So, I could say, I think I overcame them, even though I know I didn't overcome them even now in 2023. But my whole mindset was to lead from the front and to show people what I can do. I mean, even when I won International Mega Man of the Year, and I was trying to build that bond back between Mu Zeta and Pi Gamma Gamma that had been split. You know, I still remember my very first line. I took a couple of them with me to Vegas. I mean, we had a grand time and everything else. And so, you know, I was trying to build those bonds back, even though I had never been here. You know, I'm from Maryland, but you know, it's those type of things that I was trying to show that, hey, I'm a graduate brother, but I care about you as an undergraduate brother, you know, or even the brothers that came into the chapter, I was trying to explain to them, you know, how much I do care for them. And like you said, this is the way we got to go. And this is, and some people took that as in it's either my way or the highway, but I've never said that at all. But, you know, once you come up with a plan, because like I had executive meetings every month too. So I don't know if they still do or not, but I had exec meetings the week before I had chapter meetings, and they would meet at my house every Thursday the week before we had chapter meetings to make sure we were all on the same page. And you know, Boone was my vice bosses, and me and Boone we was tight, and we made sure we kind of had the same front, and you know, whatever we came with, we spoke in one voice.
Right.
So I would say that's probably the challenges is just dealing with old mindset. That's probably the challenge I think you deal with from even in the medical profession or anyone else's profession. When you got a bunch of old heads and saying it's the way we used to do things, you know, they don't want to change. And so it's interesting because my favorite saying, you could ask anybody, is the dinosaurs died because they couldn't adapt to change. That's why the dinosaurs died off. So if the big explosion meteorite would have came and they would have been able to adapt and change, they would still be here. But they
Right.
couldn't adapt and change. So we know this is 2023. Things are still changing. Birds are still different. I mean, everything's changing. So you need to learn how to adapt and change with that. And if you're not, you're gonna be a dinosaur and you're gonna fall off.
Right. Okay, for the final question, Dr. Johnson, let me ask you, as a final thought, what would you like to say to any future Basla or any future members of Pi Gamma Gamma? What advice would you give?
So as first to the bossless, future bossless, I would say it's hard work when you're in a chair. Ed used to always talk to me about being in a chair. And the favorite day of any bossless of any chapter is the day after elections when he's no longer the bossless anymore. The favorite title is being immediate past bossless. But it's rough. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But whatever your vision is and whatever you believe in, you know, you have to stick to that vision and you have to try to show the chapter what basically your vision is. It could even be maybe like your first or second meeting, you can even describe it. You know, it's kind of like when I became president of the foundation in 2007. You know, I actually had an outline what I wanted to do in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And that's kind of the thing I would say to a boss, and don't give up and lead from the front. You can't ask nobody to show up to a meeting or show up to an event. Like let's say you're doing Habitat, right? You can't show up to Habitat late while all the other brothers there and then leave early. No, you should always you pretty much almost like a Neo. You should be there first, and you first to get there, and last to leave. And actually, old bosses Earl Burry taught me that. You know, you always want to be the first to get there and the last to leave. You know, and I guess that's another thing too is that if you are a future bossless, try to tap into those old bossless and tap into things and you know, you don't have to imitate them, but you can emulate them. So you can basically take what they give you that's positive and flip it to the way you want to do it. So that's what I would say to future bossless. And there's nothing better than being a bossless as long as you're a leader. If you're not a leader, then I really don't suggest you lead these grown men if you don't really have it in you to lead. And as far as to the brothers of Pi Gamma Gamma, just love y'all and always have. You know, I never want to go to a chapter that's not local or never did, so I didn't go looking in Nashville and everything else. So I know at one time we were the smallest chapter in the smallest district in the fraternity, but I was okay with that because the bond that we had was pretty tight, you know, and I can call on people if I needed them and they could call on me. So hopefully, that's still going on, and hopefully, if we don't have that bond, you can get the bond back. But keep serving the community. Put down all your different, things as far as selfishness and those things, and just working for the community, and realize whatever you do in the community, it's going to be representative. Even if you don't have on a shirt, you're going to be representative of the fraternity. I also say make sure that you lift as you climb. Definitely with that. And I look at it today, and I look at it as a testament of the way it was when I was boss and everything else. But I look at all the sons that we have had that have now crossed and become Omegas. I mean, tons and tons of the brothers from Pi Gamma Gamma sons, as soon as they got to college and became a sophomore, whatever, they all played Q. It was like a no-brainer, But those were those same sons and daughters that kind of came out too. They were at all our service projects, and what were they doing? They were observing the other guys. They were observing us. They were seeing what we were about, And if you got Uncle Ed Moran and Uncle Sean and Uncle Win and Uncle all these different people and all these positive people, Uncle Bandy and everybody else, and they see how they're doing things and how they're accomplishing things, then that led them to Omega as well. So make sure you always remember, no matter where you are, you're still an Omega, still a Q, whether it's a Q dog and you're hanging out at a party, or whether you're an Omega man or somewhere, you're always being looked at, and you always have to basically, take that into account whenever you do anything.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Johnson, I would like to thank you for your time, your words of wisdom. I definitely was listening to them and took them in myself. At this time, I'd like to say, hey, have a great day. And thank you one more time for your words of wisdom, sir.
Greetings. I am Ulysses Minor, the Vice Bosses of the Pi Gamma Gamma chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I am with Brother Charles Griffith, who was the bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma from 2011 to 2013, and just wanted to get some thoughts and considerations from him for this Achievement Week event. Brother Griffith.
How you doing?
Excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. What just starting off, what was your motivation for running for bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma?
Since I joined the fraternity in '86, that's something I always wanted to do, and I think around the 2011 time frame, I thought I was ready, and that seemed to be a good time to move in, and that worked out for me for those first 2 years.
Gotcha. So again, that one being one of your aspirations, what were some of the proudest accomplishments or something that you're very proud of regarding the chapter during your administration?
So during that period, actually the lead up to that period, we started winning district and international awards.
Oh, very good.
As a matter of fact, I had won International Omega Man of the Year a few years prior to that. And then another brother won that same award. Then another brother won the Superior Service Award. So international exposure is really what happened during that period. And then in 2012, Pi Gamma Gamma was the small graduate chapter of the year for social action. So international flair, since I'm an international bro.
Indeed you are. So let's take the other side of that. What were some of the challenges you faced as the bossless, and how did you overcome those?
One thing about the bros really take ownership of some things that they shouldn't take ownership of.
All right.
So sometimes you gotta kind of help them let it go.
All right.
So without going into any specifics, had to work with a brother that he thought something belonged to him that didn't, and I had to make it perfectly clear that it didn't, and he's no longer in this particular chapter, so I guess that worked.
So just some administrative things.
Okay.
I understand. So just as a final thought, Brother Griffith, what would you like to say to the current and the future Basalai of Pi Gamma Gamma, and also the brothers of Pi Gamma Gamma? Just your open thoughts.
I just say, be true to yourself, because we are in the best fraternity in the world, but there are instances when you're gonna have to make some hard decisions with your family and the fraternity. The family has to win.
Indeed.
Because the fraternity will continue to go forward. Mm-hmm. But be mindful that as the Basilas, you're the main servant for the chapter, and be mindful that for the younger brothers, and you mentioned that let them know that we have a training program. So that training program says you become a member of a committee. You should strive to be a assistant chairman of that committee, later on the chairman of that committee. And then if you have leadership aspirations, try to be the assistant KRS, assistant keeper of finance. And then if you find success in that, you'll find on your way, just like you the vice boss, you worked up that. So that's the training program. It's not my training program, it's the fraternity's training program. So that's a real good blueprint, in my opinion.
Understood. All right. Thank you, Brother Griffith.
It's been my pleasure.
Honored to be sitting with Brother Terrell Perry, who was the Basilas of Pi Gamma Gamma from 2013 to 2015. Brother Perry, what was your motivation to run for Basilas of Pi Gamma Gamma?
My motivation for running for Basilas was for leadership.
Right.
Leadership has been pretty much the forefront of my makeup, professionally, socially, as far as leadership within my church, different organizations. So I've always been in leadership. So I wanted to put the chapter in a position where I could bring that leadership skill to the chapter.
Right. Got you. So speaking of leadership, so obviously what goes with leadership is is accomplishments. So what are some of the accomplishments that you're proudest of during your administration?
My biggest accomplishment would be bridging the gap between the graduate chapter of Pi Gamma Gamma and Mu Zeta.
Right,
I think at the time there was, for whatever reason, some misunderstanding, not bad blood, but just misunderstanding.
Gotcha.
I think the communication channels weren't as open as they could have been.
Right.
So my goal was to try to bring back as many Mu Zeta members to Pi Gamma Gamma, have them transition to the chapter. And once we did that, to have the chapter to be active. So I saw a large number of people come back from Mu Zeta. They liked what we were doing, how we were doing it, and the people that we were touching. So it made it easier for them to transition back to the chapter.
Right, and that's still going strong today.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely going strong today.
Absolutely.
It's just, being when you say the Murfreesboro Qs, you got to be real specific. Okay, we it's Pi Gamma Gamma, Mu Zeta. This is all of us.
It's
right?
all inclusive.
Indeed. So let's take the other side of it. What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those challenges during your administration?
The challenges would be bringing technology to the forefront. So my background is in wealth management finance.
Right.
So by me being into that particular arena, it was thinking with the funds that we were raising for the chapter, let's look beyond having something in a checking or a savings account.
Sure.
Let's start talking about investments and whatnot, so we can have an endowment account and do different things to bless those within the Rutherford County community. So it was getting the buy-in to have the discussion about investments and not only talk about it, but move into that particular arena. So we've been doing that since my administration, and those funds have bloomed and blossomed into something pretty fabulous.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. So, kind of rounding out. So, what words would you, or what words of encouragement or uplift would you give to any future and current Basalai of Pi Gamma Gamma, or just to the brothers of Pi Gamma Gamma?
So to the future Basalai, I would say that it isn't a job that you can do on your own. You have to empower people to work with you. If you're thinking it's something that you can control yourself, you're mistaken.
Right.
I think the big piece is bringing other brothers into the fold to understand how we work together better collectively versus individually. I would also say to all of the other brothers or who are in the fraternity and they're looking to be in some type of leadership or in some type of support role, it's easy to join an organization and sit back and watch and be critical. It's that much more difficult to accept that challenge, that leadership role, and when you accept it, to run with it. One of the things that happened to me when I first came into the fraternity was, I remember sitting in the frat meeting, and I said, man, it would be great if we had something that we would do for the kids as far as giving back backpacks and school supplies and whatnot. And Brother Percy Ford said, good, you do it. So
That's how it works.
For probably about 8 years maybe, we would get together, have a trailer and go buy just a plethora of school supplies and load them up in a trailer, bring them together, put them together, and then disperse those throughout the community. And we would actually go knocking door to door telling people, come out here and get this stuff. And it was in some neighborhoods that, hey, you had to watch what you were doing and where you were going, because it could have been a little bit nervous for some folk, but it's our people.
It's our people.
So when we did that and saw how that thing blew up, that was another thing, you know, you have to lead by example, but also be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. As soon as I said, hey, we should do something, you do it.
You do it, yep.
So, you know, be willing to lead from the front, not from the back, but also it takes a village to make things work. You can't do it all on your own.
Indeed. Some good words, Brother Perry.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Perry.
Appreciate you, sir.
All right. Honored to be sitting with Brother Sean Adams, who is the Bosses of Pi Gamma Gamma from 2016 to 2020. Greetings, Brother Adams. Just let's kind of off the top, what was your motivation to run for Bosses of Pi Gamma Gamma?
I came into the frat in 2009, so basically from 2010 up to 2020, I was always in a leadership role, KF, Keeper Records and Seals, Vice Boss, and also committee chaired a lot of things. So going to Bosses was like a natural ascension because I was Vice Bosses previous to being Bosses.
Gotcha. And you know, in speaking of that era, the 2016 to 2020, there were some good things that were happening in Pi Gamma Gamma at the time. So you know, so speaking of that, what were in your mind? What were some of your greatest accomplishments during your administration?
During that time period and being in leadership, you know, you saw a lot of holes and gaps and opportunities that were available to us. So speaking with the team and the people, you know, one thing was bridging the gap between Mu Zeta and Pi Gamma Gamma, making sure that that relationship was mended, and also building some coalitions around the city to get some support and do some good things for the community. So, you know, with doing that and building those things, we were able to, you know, establish the Sundresses and Stogies. We brought the boat ride back as fundraising opportunities, so we can also, you know, expand some things in community service and, you know, outreach and things of that nature. But most proud of just the growth that the chapter achieved, and just branding the Bros as the Murfreesboro Qs and making sure that everybody knew who we were, so we could make our mark.
Indeed, right. So taking the opposite side of it, because actually when you have that growth, you're going to have, you know, obviously some rough patches, growing pains. So what were some of the challenges that you faced as the Bossless, and how did you overcome those?
I think the biggest challenge is trying to get all of the different minds, the different personalities to work together. You know, the Bros are the Bros. And trying to get everybody to see the same thing the same way, to move in the same direction is difficult. But I think the key to it is just getting enough of it to get forward momentum. Once you get going and people see positives and progress, then things can press forward.
Right. So yeah, speaking of moving forward, you know, and just from an uplift perspective, like What do you have to say, or what words of encouragement or advice do you have to the current and future Baselai of Pi Gamma Gamma, as well as just the brothers themselves? Just an open thought.
To that, I would say, to any leader, not just the bossless, know your role, know what your responsibilities are. Remember that, the sci-fi is first and foremost and should be at the forefront of your mind whenever you making moves. Nothing can be about selfish attainments. And keeping brotherhood, paramount. We're not, I feel like we're gonna always have the challenge of blending the personalities and whatnot, but you have to really be patient.
Right.
And allow people to grow and develop, because everybody comes from different places.
Right.
So find a way to work with everybody. Everybody has to bring something to the table.
Right.
Otherwise, they should not be in the fold.
Good point.
You have to bring who you are, but who you are has to mesh well with what it is that the chapter objectives are.
Right. And that rings true, because I served as your KRS for most of your administration, and what you said it pretty much falls in line, because I witnessed that for myself. So yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Brother Adams.
You were the best KRS I ever had.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. But Brother Adams, thank you so much for your words and your thoughts, and for your leadership during your time from 2016 to 2020. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Honored to be sitting with Brother Carlton Legendary 96 Davidson, who was the Bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma. Actually is our immediate past Bossless from 2020 to 2023. Brother Davidson, greetings. So off the top, what was your motivation to run for Bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma?
I've been working with Museta alumni for a period of time. Museta is the undergraduate chapter in Murfreesboro, and actually the oldest chapter in Murfreesboro. And I'd been working with them for a few years at the appointment of District Representative Brian White, to kind of get them back up and running, and then started doing some stuff with MZ alumni brothers, and was kind of just getting my feet wet as it relates to exploring leadership. And so actually my chapter brother, Ronnie Taylor, had been pushing me to do it since I had moved to the chapter. I was in another chapter when I first moved back to Nashville, and when I transferred up to Pi Gamma Gamma at the request of a few of the brothers up here, I really was not looking to do leadership. I really didn't. I felt like I just wanted to sit back in the back of the room and play with everybody and have fun and do the work, but I didn't really want to do leadership. But I kind of saw, at that time, I kind of saw some of the things that happened. I saw some of the promise that Pi Gamma Gamma offered. I always tell people we've been successful, but we've been successful because of the brothers that we have in the chapter. We don't have really a lot of like negative spirits in relationship to the brothers in the chapter. It's always kind of friendly. You have your different sections, but everybody kind of gets along or goes drinking with or hangs out with one another. So it was a different chapter for me. I'm one of the few people who've been in a leadership situation in this chapter that have been in other chapters. I think the only other two were Derek Johnson and Brother Griffin, who had been in other chapters as well as Pi Gamma Gamma. So I've had experiences with other chapters and kind of know how other chapters run. So I had a different threshold of what a chapter should look like. And what I tried to do was kind of build a chapter that ideally looked like something I would want to join if I moved somewhere, or if I was I transferred, or if I was looking for a chapter to become a part of. What would I be looking for in that chapter as it relates to different things? But really, it was like Ronnie Taylor was on me hard. Naaman was on me tough. And then some of the other brothers kind of started talking to me about it. I think it was like a pretty good divide. I was actually shocked that I won by as much as I won by. And so that was a lot. And I think that Surprisingly, I came in through COVID, so I had like a COVID year, and then the real year where we actually kind of broke out and started doing things.
Right. So yeah, definitely some challenging times. You're taking the helm like you immediately. It's during COVID, right? So, and you started kind of talking about some of the things that were starting to go well with the chapter. So, what are some key accomplishments that you are proudest of during your administration?
Well, I think the success of every year that I was bossless, hopefully this year as well. The 2022-23 year as well. We've won large chapter of the year.
Right.
So we were able to double the number of individuals. So my first year, the chapter, and I won Reclamation Brother and Reclamation Chapter of the Year. So we had a lot of brothers who came and either transferred in or got financial again, and that was due to just really reaching out, giving brothers the vision, being more active. It's a way that we went after brothers. That was a real huge accomplishment for me, because Pi Gamma Gamma had never been that big.
That's correct.
And they had never maintained, even their largest number had never been something they were able to kind of stay within a certain range for a period of time. It would go 50, 40, 30, then back up, and then, so forth over the first, I guess, 30 some years, and then we've been able to kind of maintain it over the last 3 or 4 to keep it at either 100 to 120.
Correct.
Has been something. So that was a big part. And then the reestablishment of Sundress. Sundress was something that was started when I first moved. It was a culmination of a bunch of things. The desire of some of the brothers that were already in Pi Gamma Gamma, and myself, who was moving from a chapter that had tried to do something like that, but not necessarily on the scale of what Sundress has come to be. And so we started putting some things and utilizing the skills from different people to put that together. And when we went down for COVID, everything kind of ceased. So we had to kind of figure out how to do it again and where we were going to do it, because we had to find another venue and so forth and so on. So kind of coming back and reestablishing that at the what's the name of that place? Canonsburg. And then moving it to Nearest this past year. So just the growth of that particular thing, and really, and more importantly than that, reestablishing the relationship with the foundation.
Correct.
I think that the foundation was functioning differently, and I feel like that we all changed leaderships at the same time at that part. So when I first came in, the foundation leadership changed maybe 2 or 3 months later.
That's correct.
So me and Terrell, who was a former bossless as well, kind of got together and made sure that we were in lockstep as it relates to working together and making sure we were both functioning appropriately as just separate entities that were working together for the same common goal and purpose of promoting the Pi Gamma Gamma name, the brand, and the work that we want to do in the community. And so I think establishing that relationship and then continuing to further that relationship when Jaron Prentice took over as the new president of the foundation. And so that was important to me. And probably the last thing was Blue coming aboard of our leadership, of our team.
Brother Blue.
I think Blue has been in the fraternity for 4 years longer than me, but had not really started doing really like things as it relates to leadership or finding it or doing anything like that, which is kind of like I was. Like I had been a boss as undergrad, but and I had done some graduate, so I was a little bit different. But he had not really, sought committee chairmanships and everything. But I saw what I felt like he could bring to that position, and then I asked him would he come on and work with me that second year. And then, we went through the vote and everything, and then everything worked out. But I think that was that was probably the most personal thing that I was able to do. That was part of the success of really the last 2 years. But to me, if you just go in order, just the reestablishment of the relationship with the foundation, bringing Sundress back, and really, just working to enhance and do the retention and reclamation part. Because I think a lot of brothers at the beginning thought, hey, we're going to turn this into a factory and to start making guys and all that, and we didn't do that. All of our money that we generate through the chapter has been through the increase in the number of brothers in the chapter and retention of those brothers each year.
Exactly.
So, and I pride myself on that. And when we do the State of Pi Gamma Gamma, or and the different ways that we're able to reach out to brothers through our social media or everything like that, all that revolves around those things, helping to build it up.
Indeed, right. And so, yeah, definitely. So, of course, with Pi Gamma Gamma reaching 100 members, right? So that was the first time ever in Pi Gamma Gamma history. And, I remember getting a call from you one day. You're like, I think we're going to bust the clock.
Yes, That's it.
Says, no way, Carlton. Yes, we did. And then again, and then talking about, brother Kenneth Blue, who's actually just got elected bosses. Of course, I'm serving as his vice boss. It's all really key moments. So let's look at it from another standpoint. There were lots of ups over the last 3 years. Because I was sitting with you during that time. But what were some of the challenges in your opinion, and what did you do to overcome those?
Challenges were sometimes it just depends. I think I had a lot on my plate in relationship to like school and stuff, and so I was finishing up my EDS at the time. So. I think some of those were kind of hard. Some of those days and evenings were kind of hard in relationship to making sure I was doing everything. I think after my first year, I started to delegate more. I felt more comfortable once Blue came on, and then not really wanting to put any more on you, because we pretty much had the KRS stuff lined up because you had been there a few years. You were the immediate KRS after me, so you had already kind of established that. I'm always comfortable with my line brothers handling the money. So, that was what really kind of helped me. Other things was I started to kind of reach out to other individuals for like ideas. I wanted to be more open and progressive.
Sure.
I felt like that a way to really push the chapter was to kind of start reaching out and doing non-traditional things, but also reaching out to brothers from other chapters to kind of assist and use best practices. That was something that I always, I preached it during my run for First Vice, was that I feel like we need to be using best practices across the district, and I think that that's something that we should always do. I think a lot of the times we find ourselves not being as successful because we don't want to ask a brother from another chapter, even if we have a good relationship, hey, how could we do this better, or how could we do this or that or the other, in order to help us or invite them into our planning process to do certain things. So I would do that, and I would also ask, I never shied away from brothers who may have had a negative idea of what we were doing.
Sure.
Sometimes I feel like, in certain situations you can't change a brother's mind, but in most situations you want to be able to convince them that the moves that we're making as a leadership and as a team have been well thought out.
Right.
And so those were the kind of challenges, and just trying to get people to believe in what Pi Gamma Gamma what Pi Gamma Gamma could be.
Right.
I think people wanted, I think what helped us was people didn't believe that we could do it.
Yeah.
They didn't believe that we could raise the numbers and maintain them. They didn't believe that we could be the chapter of Middle Tennessee, which is what we have become at this point.
That's correct.
And I think that when people ask just about our branding and social media and how we've been able to use different people who have joined the chapter, I think that was one of the best things I did. I think that wasn't necessarily a drawback, but it was something that I was able to start identifying who had talent at what.
Right.
And then not necessarily using the cheaper route, but using the best route.
Yeah.
And then investing in things differently than we had in the past. Like, okay, our outward face is the things that we do in the community, but how is the community learning about what we're doing? Or how are we using our social media?
Right.
How are we using our outreach? Are we really communicating to other chapters and other organizations to come and support our events the same way? And then making it a point to go and support theirs.
Right.
Whether it's 4 or 5 of us or whatever, like our ambassador to events is Willie Nelson, but he does that naturally.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But so utilizing and identifying those people and then utilizing them and then saying, hey, you know, Willie's going, who else is going to go?
Right.
And then making sure that we were paying for brothers to go on the chapter or the foundation's dime in order for it to make sense, and really, in a way, using it as a marketing tool.
That's correct.
For when we wanted to start selling tickets to something, or we wanted them to come to the district meeting or whatever, we were going to their event.
That's
so
right.
we could bring that in. So it's a lot of different things that were not necessarily obstacles. I think COVID was the biggest obstacle during that time, just kind of figuring out, you know, mastering Zoom fairly quickly,
What
like
to
everyone
do,
else
how to
did,
do it.
how to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it,
yeah, right.
how we were going to stay engaged, how we were going to continue to do activities and fill out Form 37s, what type of outreach we could do, you know, how much could be health related, and then other things to kind of bring the brothers together once we got out of it. Making sure that we were, you know, just really trying to be as brotherly as we could in that particular circumstance was a lot. And so for us to be able to build really prior to COVID kind of breaking off and taking over, and then maintain it through COVID, and then maintain it after COVID was something that was really important, and really showed the type of thoughtfulness that we were trying to put together as a team, as an executive board, and all the different entities that were involved.
Right, right. You did mention that, but I want to make sure that that was on there. Of course, with with Brother Perkins, Brother James Perkins, his district marshal. Just a lot of background work went into that. So so good things came of those obstacles and challenges. But
I think we kind of had we had a pocket of great. We have a pocket of great individuals, and then we're able to identify and to put those individuals in a position to where we may all be on the committee with them, but we don't have a problem changing the face of who's on something. So,
exactly.
You know, people may think that this person is the lead, but it's not necessarily that person. It could be somebody else, but they may be the face of whatever we're doing, but everybody's working together.
Right. As a final thought, Brother Davidson, what advice or uplift would you have for the current and future Boss Alive Pi Gamma Gamma, as well as the brothers of Pi Gamma Gamma?
I think we need to keep the same spirit. I think that we really are a good chapter with good individuals that don't really have a lot of negativity. I think one of the things that attracts brothers to our chapter is the seamlessness of the meetings and the transparency that we've been able to develop over the last few years as it relates to how we communicate, how we engage. I think maintaining our social media presence is going to be very important, just because of how much social media is a part of what we do, and how we've been able to attract a lot of the people to what we do, and creating our own narrative of what type of chapter we are, whether that's to a layman or a potential member of the chapter that may be a candidate someday, or a brother who is looking for a chapter to join, or a young person, a young brother who may be getting ready to graduate and move into the area and looking for a chapter home. I think all those things are important, and I think it's maintaining the friendships. I think a lot of times, you know, we've made a lot of guys over the years, but I think retaining those individuals and making this place be their home and making it be worthy of their time. I think when you think of paying the amount of money that we ask each year, which is a lot compared to chapters that may have a house or something like that, you want the most bang for your buck. And you want to be something that people are proud to be a part of, where your wife knows, hey, yeah, they're doing this today or they're doing this tomorrow, and everybody's kind of abreast of what we do, not only as a chapter but as a brand, and the type of respect that we have throughout how we do business, how we put on events, and then how we work with the community. So I think as long as we continue and to grow it, like I don't expect the brothers to stop growing and being progressive and making different opportunities for us that I may not have thought of, because brothers before me didn't think of some of the ideas that I came up with. And then if future Basali or leaders come in and bring their own flavor to it, as long as we maintain friendship as a part of what we do, maintain the service of the organization that we've been able to establish, and to me, the commitment to excellence.
Right.
I think if we maintain those things, then we'll be able to flourish and continue to grow, and to continue to make us the standard for Middle Tennessee as it relates to the bros.
Right. Good. So, all agree with all those things, and just want to take a point of personal privilege. Definitely thank you for your leadership from 2020 to 2023. Lots of great things, as you highlighted through this entire conversation. Lots of great things have happened at the chapter, with the chapter, and in the community. And again, thank you, Brother Davidson, for your leadership.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, Legendary 96 is such a great thing to have as a part of your organization. And
Hello, everybody. I am Jordan Gaither, the 9, Spring 23 Pi Gamma Gamma. Citizen of the Year. The Citizen of the Year is selected each year from outstanding citizens nominated for unique contributions to humanity. The nominees should be a person of local, regional, international recognition and who are acclaimed by a significant segment of society for outstanding contributions to the welfare of mankind. The Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated 2022-2023 Achievement Week Pi Gamma Gamma Chapter, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, presents former chaplain and pastor, current NAACP Veterans Affairs and Saxman Extraordinaire, Chaplain Dr. Ernest Newsom, Citizen of the Year for 2023.
Navy Captain Chaplain Ernest B. Newsom, retired, is married to Nolia, resides in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He was the 12th African American in the history of the U.S. Naval Chaplaincy to earn that distinction. Prior to that, Chaplain Newsom served our country as an enlisted Army medic, dental assistant, and social psychiatric worker. He has served the military for 22 years and has been stationed in France, Italy, Norway, and many parts throughout the United States of America. He considers his great military achievement and assignment was in his duty to the 6th Fleet Command Chaplain. Serving with that unit in the Mediterranean earned him many honors and citations. On a side note, he was the first African-American naval chaplain to earn naval captain, a 4-bird colonel, in the state of Tennessee. Currently, Chaplain Newsom is a chairman for the local branch as well as a state chapter of the NAACP, Veterans and Military Committee, and holds memberships in the Military Chaplains Association, Naval Reserves Association, Military Officer Association, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and the American Legion. He is a jazz saxophonist and music enthusiast.
Hello, my name is DeAndre Haynes, 10, Pi Gamma Gamma, Spring 23, and I will be presenting the inaugural Perseverance Award 2023. This award is in recognition of a brother that exhibits the highest ideal of our cardinal principle of perseverance during the conduct of his duties. And the award is presented to Brother B.A. Windrow.
Our brother, the Reverend Brummer A. Windrow, is a man in constant motion. Brother Windrow has served as an associate minister at Olive Branch Church since 2005. During his tenure with the Olive Branch, he provided leadership and service for the ministerial staff, taught Bible study, Sunday school, and shared the word for the people of God. In 2018, Brother Windrow was honored as the Preacher of the Year by the Nashville Rescue Mission. Prior to relocating to Tennessee, he served as senior pastor of Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Albany, Georgia. Brother Windrow served 22 years in the United States Army Reserves. He also spent 28 years managing and directing marketing and advertising teams for NBC, Fox, and ABC stations. His successful leadership enabled his teams to achieve over $168 million in annual revenue, thus receiving the highest award for Hearst Television, the Tower Award. A 1987 initiate, Brother Windrow is a proud member of our great fraternity and has served faithfully on both the undergraduate and graduate levels. He is honored to be called the Mighty Mu Zeta chapter his home. Brother Windrow received his 35-year service pin, is a life member 11639, and is excited to serve as chaplain for the Pi Gamma Gamma chapter. He is also the proud father of Brummett Windrow II and Brianna Windrow. He received his college education at the University of Hawaii, Middle Tennessee State University, and the Harvard Business Publishing School. In addition to the aforementioned activities, Brother Windrow has embarked on a new venture as boat captain of his newly formed yacht company.
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Cameron, 3 Pi Gamma Gamma, Spring 2023, and today I'll be presenting the Superior Service Award. Recognized for his sustained concern and contributions to the fraternity and the community at the chapter, local, district, regional, international, and national levels. The winner for this award would be Brother James Perkins.
James Arthur Perkins, Esquire, was born in Nuremberg, Germany, to Harriet and Major Louis B. Perkins Sr., Sigma Omega 57, and was raised primarily in the Washington, D.C. metro area. James was initiated into Omega Psi Phi through the Pi chapter at Morgan State University on April the 7th, 1995. James attended graduate school at Temple University, where he received his MBA in Healthcare Management and MS in Healthcare Financial Management. During his time in Philadelphia, James was active in the Mu Omega chapter. James was also active in the Chi Phi chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, serving as Keeper of Finance. During his time in Denver, James was part of the committee that reestablished the Chi Phi's party on the mountain at the Black Ski Summit, where the Chi Phi netted $20,000 in net revenue. James was also active with the Upsilon Chi chapter while living in Bentonville, Arkansas. He also served as a vice bossless of Upsilon Chi and assistant graduate advisor to Gamma Eta chapter, University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. While living in Houston, Texas, James was active with Rho Beta chapter, and once he moved to Nashville, he joined the Gamma Phi chapter in 2015 before transferring his membership to Pi Gamma Gamma in 2016. In total, James has been active with 5 districts of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and has held various roles on the chapter level, including Vice Bossless, Keeper of Finance, Assistant Keeper of Finance, and Assistant Graduate Advisor. In addition, James has had the opportunity to serve as the District Marshal for the 75th District meeting sponsored by Pi Gamma Gamma chapter. James is a father of 2 boys, Jordan, Psi Epsilon 2019, and Jalen.
And now I'll be presenting the Undergraduate Chapter Advisor of the Year for 2023. Dr. Ernest Everett Just, Undergraduate of one or more undergraduate chapters. The successful candidate will have acted in a mentoring capacity, providing insight and guidance that has positively influenced undergraduate chapter members to aspire and achieve the ideals of fraternity and the mandated programs. And the award goes to Brother Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis is a native of Nashville, Tennessee. He was initiated into Mu Zeta chapter at Middle Tennessee State University on April 30th, 1996. As a member of Mu Zeta, he served as chapter KRS and Bossless. As an undergraduate member, he was on the National Membership Selection Committee appointed by Grand Bossless Lloyd Jordan. Upon graduation, Brother Davidson joined Gamma Phi chapter in Nashville. He worked on several committees and served 2 terms as a chapter's vice bossless. He then moved to Birmingham, Alabama in 2003, and then to Los Angeles in 2004. In Los Angeles, he was a member of the Tata chapter in Compton, California. He then moved back to Nashville, where he joined Omega Lambda Lambda chapter in Hendersonville, Tennessee. During his time at Omega Lambda Lambda, he won the Superior Service Award. At the request of District Representative Brian K. White, he was appointed the chapter advisor to Mu Zeta in 2015. During his 6 years in that position, Mu Zeta has won the Undergraduate Chapter of the Year, Undergraduate Social Action Chapter of the Year, Undergraduate Omega Man of the Year, Undergraduate Scholar of the Year, and 2-time second Vice District Representative. In addition to Chapter Advisor of Mu Zeta, Brother Davidson was appointed as the 5th District History and Archives Committee Chairman by the District Representative Sam McKenzie. Brother Davidson has just completed his 3rd term as bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma Chapter in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Greetings, brothers. I'm Carlton Davidson. I am the undergraduate advisor to Mu Zeta Chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I will be handing out the undergraduate awards for this year's Achievement Week. The undergraduate nominee should be a brother who has made significant contributions to his chapter, his district, and the international level of the fraternity. Likewise, the undergraduate nominee should also be one who has made significant contributions to his college or university and to his local community. Additionally, nominees must have served a manner above and beyond the ordinary participation levels necessary to implement programs and projects. Nominees should be involved in leadership roles regarding the organization, planning and implementation of programs and projects. Hold a chapter, district, international office, and/or committee chairman role. This year's Omega Man of the Year for the Mu Zeta chapter will be Cyrus Lewis, presently our bossless.
Cyrus Lewis is from Huntsville, Alabama. He is 23 years old and raised by a single mother, and he is the oldest of 3 siblings. Cyrus will be graduating from Middle Tennessee State University in December with a degree in aerospace maintenance management.
I will be presenting the Graduate Omega Man of the Year Award. The graduate nominee should be a brother who has made significant contributions to his chapter, his district, on the international level of the fraternity. This nominee should also be one who has made significant contributions to his community. Additionally, nominees must have served in a manner above and beyond the ordinary participation levels necessary to implement programs and projects. Nominees should be involved in leadership roles regarding the organization, planning, and implementation of programs and projects. An example, hold chapter, district, international office, and/or committee chairman role. The nominee's chapter and district must support all fraternity mandated programs. This award will be presented to Brother Carlton Davidson.
I will now be presenting the Founders Lifetime Achievement Award. The Founders Lifetime Achievement Award. The nominees for the Founders Lifetime Achievement Award should be a brother who exhibits the highest ideals of Omega's 4 cardinal principles: manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. The brother should be recognized for his contributions to the fraternity at the chapter, district, international levels for a minimum of 25 years of membership. In addition, considerations should be given to his impact on society that has enhanced the welfare of mankind. And now I present to you Brother Joe Herbert Sr., Founders Lifetime Achievement Award 2023.
Joe Herbert Sr. was initiated into Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated in 1969 under Ada Psi, Fisk University. He received his master's degree and EDS from Middle Tennessee State University. Joe started teaching in Rutherford County in education for over 43 years, where he held such titles as lead teacher, girls and boys basketball coach at Cottrell Elementary School for 6 years. In 1978, he was an assistant principal at Riverdale, where he held that title for over 12 years. In 1990, he returned to Cottrell Elementary as a principal for 15 years. He was a coordinator for Rutherford County Adult Education for 10 years. Joe served as an intake chair for the 5th District for over 15 years. Joe Herbert also served as the first Vice District Representative from 2002 through 2004. He was a dean for the charter line of Mu Zeta in 1973. He was also one of the charter members for Pi Gamma Gamma, where he served as the first bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma and many other terms, including being voted back as bossless for the 20th anniversary of Pi Gamma Gamma. Joe Herbert was also the first president of the Pi Gamma Gamma Foundation. Joe Herbert was just inducted into the Metro Nashville Public School Sports Hall of Fame.
Omega, dear, we are thy own. Thou art our life, our love, our home. We'll sing thy praises far and nigh. We love Omega Psi Phi. To all thy precepts make us true. Live nobly as all real men do. Let manhood be our eternal shrine, with faith in God and heart and mind.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Blue, current bossless of Pi Gamma Gamma chapter of Omega Psi Phi Incorporated. I'd like to take this time to thank you for attending tonight's ceremony, and we hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you next year. Good night.